I call Chris Bishop.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. There are at least two parties in this parliament that are in favour of a referendum on changing the New Zealand flag. There's the government party, that's the National Party. We're in favour of a referendum on changing the flag. And the Labour Party. They're in favour of a referendum on changing the flag. They just don't have the guts to turn up in this House and vote for it.
Point of order. I know what the member's going to bring up. I'd ask the member to withdraw that comment. This is a seemly debate, and comments like that don't add any value. Chris, withdraw the comment and then carry on.
I withdraw. Sir, they don't have the intestinal fortitude.
Point of order.
Point of order. Don't
That has been ruled out many times, sir, and so this is now repeated offending?
It has. Look, I'm on my feet. I'll ask the member to withdraw that comment, and we won't have any more of those sort of comments.
Sir, I withdraw.
Chris Bishop.
It's a real shame, sir, that the Labour Party is voting against this bill, because it is the official policy of the Labour Party to have a flag referendum, to have a referendum on changing the flag. The leader of the Labour Party wants to change the flag, or at least he wants to consider changing the flag. He wants to do it in a deliberative and consultative fashion. We know that because he told the NBR that, and he told a commenter in the NBR Ask Me Anything section. We know that most Labour Party MPs, I believe, sir, are in favour of a flag referendum. Probably Labour Party members, ordinary grassroots members of the Labour Party, few as they are in favour of a referendum on changing the flag. So it's a real shame, sir, that this is not a bipartisan bill, because, sir, this bill is fundamentally about a conversation about who we are as people. It's a conversation and it's a discussion about what New Zealand is in the 21st century. Symbols do matter. The flag does matter. Do we want the Union Jack on the flag? In 21st century New Zealand, with our multiplicity of ethnicities and peoples that exist, for the most part harmoniously in this country, do we really want the symbol that we are, or the message on our flag that we are a vassal of Mother Britain, of the mother country? Do we really want that in the 21st century, with New Zealand today, with all of its complexity, with all of its diversity, and quite frankly, without really the links back to the United Kingdom? So symbols do matter. So that's what this bill is about. And also, sir, this bill is about a democratic process to choose the design of a potential or putative new New Zealand flag. Now, sir, the government could have legislated for a new New Zealand flag. We could have done that. We could have, before the last election, put it in the National Party manifesto that we will legislate for a new New Zealand flag. Other countries have done that. When Canada changed its flag, that's essentially what they did. Could have done that? No, the government chose not to do that. What the government chose to do was involve the people. And, sir, I believe that is the right thing to do. I believe it's the right thing to ask the people what sort of flag they want, because, as I mentioned, this is about a conversation with the New Zealand people as to what New Zealand represents, who New Zealand is in the 21st century, and so it's right that we ask the people. And the great thing about the process so far is that New Zealanders want that conversation to happen. They do. If you look at the Herald polls and you look at the designs that have been submitted and you look at the number of people who are getting involved online and talking at the water cooler, sir, every single day that goes by, more and more people are having those conversations. They're getting a coffee and they're talking about it. I hear it when I go into cafes. I hear people grabbing a drink and talking about it. I hear it in pubs and clubs, sir. I hear people talking about what the change should be. People are talking, do we want the blue and red design with the silver fern, or would it be better to have a blue and black design? Is it appropriate to have the Southern Cross on or not? Or should we go for something completely different? There's the 40 flags that have come down into the short list or the long list are really provoking debate out there. So this is about a democratic process to choose the design. We're not just legislating for a change of flag, we're legislating for a process. And if after the second referendum, sir, New Zealanders don't want to change a flag, well, that will be the people's say. That will be the people's verdict. But I reckon people are actually getting pretty excited about this process, and I reckon we are going to see good participation in both referenda, and I think that's good. Sir, I want to run through some of the arguments that have been raised by the Labour Party and other people about why this bill should fail. Firstly, they say this is not the right time. Well, I mean, really? Is any time ever the right time? I mean, people have been trying to change the flag since the 1970s. This was first raised in the 1970s. So, you know, you could make that argument about any time. I mean, you know, what's the Labor Party says, oh, well, let's do it in 5 years. I mean, why 5 years? I mean, it's totally arbitrary. Why not 10? I mean, why not 7? I mean, why not in 2 years? I mean, it's just bizarre. And then we have this guy, you know, it's just bizarre, sir. And it is just politicking, as my colleague points out, and it is a real shame. Would have been nice that this was would have been nice for this to be bipartisan. So, you know, I don't accept the argument that now is not the right time. Then we have this absurd argument that, you know, nobody wants to change a flag. Why? Oh, because we've looked at the opinion polls. Well, actually, we're going to have a giant opinion poll about it. It's called the referendum on changing the flag. And everyone will get to have a say, and it won't be a cursory shot of public opinion before we've had the proper debate, before people have managed to see the options, before people have managed to make up their own mind. We're going to have a giant opinion poll. It's called a referendum, and it's going to be next year, sir. So this absurd argument that we can just take a slice of public opinion from the New Zealand Herald online poll at a particular point or something and say, therefore, we shouldn't go through with a referendum is a silly argument, Mr. Speaker. On the same basis, we would have taken a slice of public opinion on the 19th of September before the last election and gone, oh, well, National's on 54%, the Labor Party's on 18% or something like that, and we won't bother with the election. No, we don't govern like that in this country, sir. We put it to the people. Thirdly, we have this argument that there are other priorities, you know, as if this ridiculous argument that as a government, this ridiculous argument you can only do one thing at one time in this country, you know, that you can't do two things at once. There are other priorities. You know, the nadir of this argument was Andrew Little's ridiculous claim this week. This is the potential future Prime Minister of this country. His claim, very unlikely, as my colleague Michael Woodhouse points out, very unlikely, that this ridiculous comment that he's not even going to bother to vote in the first referendum. He's not even going to bother. The potential future Prime Minister of this country, whose own party has a policy of having a referendum on the flag, not even going to bother to vote. Well, how ridiculous, sir. Look, the reality of government is, amazingly, in the grown-up world, on the side of the government, not Planet Labor, you can do two things at once. We can improve the economy. We can improve social housing. We can focus on the least well-off in society, and we can do that contemporaneously with having a referendum on a flag. We're grown-ups on this side of the House, not children in the sandpit like members opposite. Fourthly, sir, we have the silly argument that this disrespects veterans. Now, sir, and this is allied to the argument that was raised by, I think, the member for New Zealand First, that people fight for the flag. Well, actually, sir, I put it respectfully that the people who have fought for this country don't fight for a piece of cloth. They fought, and they do fight, for the values that underlie the flag. And I've been to Gallipoli, sir, and I've seen the memorials, and I've seen the graves. And it's not the New Zealand flag that exists now that are on those memorials. It's not. It's the silver fern. So I don't buy the argument, sir, that this disrespects veterans and it disrespects the sacrifice that they have made. I don't. And then we hear that this is a waste of money. This is also a silly argument, sir. $26 million in the grand scheme of government spending is not a large sum of money. And we didn't hear the Labor Party, sir, complaining about a waste of public money when we had a referendum on asset sales. They didn't make that argument at the time, and they didn't make the argument at the time, sir. So I also don't buy the argument, sir, that this is a waste of money. And then finally, sir, we have the argument that we need an up or down, yes or no vote in the first referendum. And this was an argument that was put by Trevor Mallard in his petition and put by Labor members at the committee. Sir, the official advice that we received as a committee was that this would not be a good idea, that we should not have a yes or no vote in the first referendum. Why? Because quite rightly, people want to know what they're voting for before they vote to whether or not to change the flag. That is a legitimate point of view, sir. People have a right to know in a binary sense what the options are, sir, and that is why government members did not accept that. Sir, this is an important bill about an important part of New Zealand's future. It is a shame that the Labor Party is voting against this bill, not because they don't agree with it, not because members don't want potentially a change of flag, but because they are based only on spite and jealousy.